we got Alisson, Kirkis, Van Dijk, Konate, Frimpong, Gravenberch, McAllister, Wirtz, Salah, and let's say ISAK and Ekitike to start off our new season. Then, in the immortal words of Hulk Hogan, what you gonna do, Premier League? What you gonna do, Manchester United? What you gonna do, Arsenal, Man City, Chelsea, all of you? What you gonna do when Liverpool and Armania runs wild on you?
Well, it's a bit late. It had to go all the way to deadline day. But Liverpool now usher in the age of AI. Alexander Isak, that is. Welcome back to the channel, and as always, like, comment, share, subscribe. That was the final parts of a video that I uploaded about a month and a half ago, I think, somewhere along those lines. And we finally did it. We finally have Alexander Isak for a club record fee, eclipsing the club record fee that we paid for Florian Wirtz. Liverpool paid 100 over million, I think it was 116 million for Florian Wirtz, and this time round with Isak on deadline day, it's 125 million British pounds. 2 transfer records broken in 1 transfer window. This is without question the most high profile and definitely Liverpool's best summer transfer window ever, at least in the Premier League history. Maybe ever, who knows. And like I said, back then, it's a bit late. It had to drag the deadline day, but we finally got it. And our starting 11 is pretty much set. And let me repeat that again. Alisson, Van Dijk, Konate, Frimpong, Kirkis, Gravenberch, McAllister, Wirtz, Salah, Ekitike, and now Isak. Now, how does that work out? In all honesty, in all seriousness, how is Arne Slot gonna work this out? Because Ekitike, over the last few games, from the Community Shield onwards, he's been on fire. He's been scoring, except for, of course, the game against Arsenal. Other than that, he's been scoring a goal a game. So how is he going to integrate Isak and Ekitike together? Well, from what I understand is that Ekitike could play left wing, and I think Isak could play left wing as well. So the good thing is that they could interchange. They can, they can swap. As in, Ekitike could play left and Isak could play in the middle. Sometimes they might swap, and then with Wirtz as a playmaker, there's more avenues that Wirtz can trust. Not that he doesn't trust Cody Gakpo, because Cody Gakpo has been really good for, the start of this campaign. So I think that's how I would have done it if I was Liverpool manager, which obviously I'm not. I trust Arne Slot to get things to sort that whole thing out. I mean, after all, we're going into our international break now, so Isak has time to gel and integrate with the rest of the players. Now, speaking of the transfer window, how would I rate this summer transfer window for Liverpool? Now, you would think that with what I just said, the most high profile, the best summer transfer window, you would think I'll give it a 10 out of 10. Honestly, I want to. Unfortunately, I think I will give it anywhere between 9 and 9.5 for the obvious reason, because Marc Guehi eventually stayed at Crystal Palace. It's very unfortunate that, despite going through the medicals and all the paperwork has already been done, he was about to sign on the dotted line, and all of a sudden Oliver Glasner and Steve Parish from Crystal Palace started to pull a stunt and eventually pull out of the deal, so the whole deal has collapsed. Now, would I be worried about Marc Guehi not joining Liverpool and staying Crystal Palace. In the short term, yes, I'm slightly worried because that will probably be Liverpool's weakness that rival clubs and all other pundits would target, as obviously. So that's something that maybe in the short term I might be, as a Liverpool fan, be worried about. But in the long term, actually that's not the case. In fact, if anything, all right, Crystal Palace did themselves a disservice by pulling out that stunt. We all know that Marc Guehi's contract is in this final year. The smart thing for Crystal Palace would have been to cash out £35 million, maybe plus £5 million add-ons to make it like 40 and all that. They could have done that. And Sky Sports and maybe other news outlets are saying that the reason why Crystal Palace pulled out of the deal is because they couldn't find a replacement in time. Do you really believe that? Do you really believe that? Let's play logic a little bit. And for anybody who says that, oh, Liverpool needs to hold a bit of responsibility because they approached Marc Guehi and Crystal Palace at the last minute, you had better get your timeline straight. Okay, rumors about Marc Guehi to Liverpool have been circulating throughout the entire summer transfer window, and it's not like Liverpool did not inquire. Around the same time that they inquired for ISAK, they did the same thing for Marc Guehi. And Crystal Palace know that Marc Guehi is in his final year of his contract and that he wants to go to Liverpool. They had the entire summer transfer window to find a replacement, especially after they lost Eberechi Eze to Arsenal. They should have known better. They actually do know better, and they could have spent the whole 2 months finding a centre back. So whose fault is it that Guehi's transfer collapsed? It's not Liverpool. It's not Marc Guehi, because Marc Guehi was a total professional. This is all on Crystal Palace and their poor running and management of the club, to the point where Oliver Glasner has the gall to threaten resignation, and Steve Parish in a moment of panic says, "Oh, okay, I'll pull Marc Guehi out of the deal." What sort of running? What are you guys doing, Crystal Palace, really? And now you've kept Marc Guehi. Congratulations, you did. At least until the January transfer window. What's going to happen then? Because Marc Guehi is not going to renew his contract, as far as we know, as far as everybody knows, right? So are you going to let Marc Guehi go into his final 6 months of the contract? And this time around, you're in more trouble than you're in trouble now. If you think you're in trouble now, Crystal Palace, you're going to be in more trouble when the January transfer window opens. Because it's not just Liverpool chasing Marc Guehi anymore. Clubs outside of England, right? The Spanish clubs in La Liga, the Bundesliga, Serie A, Liga, and whatever, they're all going to target Marc Guehi. And guess what? They can sign him on a free for the next season. And you're going to get nothing out of Marc Guehi. And even if you sell him to Liverpool, which I think Richard Hughes and Michael Edwards are going to do, because they're going to keep tabs on him. Even if you do sell Marc Guehi to Liverpool, you're not going to get 35 million. Scrap that. The most you're going to get is 15 or 20 million. So, really, who's on the losing end? Yeah, Crystal Palace, you won the battle by keeping Marc Guehi, but ultimately, you're going to lose the war. You should have learned from Newcastle, but you did exactly what Newcastle did. And now, well, good luck. And you've seen what happened to Isak in the end. He's now no longer black and white. He's in red. It's only a matter of time. It's only a matter of time that Marc Guehi is going to be in the red. But enough about them. I think in the short term, for at least from now until the January transfer window, I think for us defensively, we Van Dijk, Konate, Joe Gomez, and Giovanni Leone, they're going to have to hold the fort down for at least until January before Michael Edwards and Richard Hughes do their magic and get Marc Guehi from Crystal Palace, because they are not going to give up. They are not giving up. You saw, if you're a Liverpool fan, you saw how Michael Edwards, when he was the sporting director, he chased Van Dijk. Van Dijk did not join us until in the 17-18 season. in the summer transfer. He joined us in January for 75 million. Chances are he and Richard Hughes are going to do the same for Marc Guehi, and they're not going to have to spend 75 million this time around. 20 million, maybe. Yeah, 20 million. I think is a fair deal. And Crystal Palace have no choice this time. They've backed themselves into the corner that they cannot fight out of, and it's on their own fault. So, Crystal Palace, you've got until the January transfer window to find a really quality replacement for Marc Guehi, especially if Oliver Glasner wants to play 3 at the back, as he did in the Community Shield. All props to him for his tactical, I wouldn't say tactical genius, but he's tactically sound. You know, he's definitely more tactically sound than Ruben Amorim. Sorry, Man United fans, or am I? But you've got 4 months, Crystal Palace. You have 4 months until you get a replacement for Marc Guehi, because come January 1st, when the transfer window opens again, we're coming after him, and we have to, because the majority of the games really take place in the second half of the season. So I believe that Liverpool's defense team can hold the fort down. Of course, barring injuries. We don't want to wish injuries on anybody. But I believe our defense is good enough for the next 4 months until the January transfer window. And then we need reinforcements. And this is where we want to get Marc Guehi. And I truly believe that Richard Hughes and Michael Edwards will get him. And it will be the push that we need to chase all the trophies. I'm not saying that we're going to get a quadruple, even though with the signings that we've done in the summer, it kind of seems that way. But if we want to retain the league, if we want to win the Champions League at least, I think Marc Guehi is very important, and I think January is going to be the time to really get him and set him with the rest of the squad. So we hope that happens. So just to wrap up this video, other notable transfers: Kostas Tsimikas has joined Roma on loan, while Harvey Elliott has joined Aston Villa on loan. And I think both of them have options to purchase at the end of this season. So thank you to Kostas Tsimikas, thank you to Harvey Elliott, all the best to you guys. But yeah, I think this summer transfer window is definitely one to remember for Liverpool. Let's recap the main stars. Excuse me. Let's recap the main stars. Jeremy Frimpong, we started with him. And then we had Florian Wirtz. And then we have Milos Kerkez. And then we had Hugo Ekitike. Mamardashvili, who joined us actually last year, but he went on loan to Valencia. He's now back and full-fledged with us. Giovanni Leone, a young up-and-coming rising star from Parma. And of course, the big one, well, along with Florian Wirtz obviously, but the big one, Alexander Isak is now a Red. He's wearing the number 9 jersey. How appropriate that our 2 big signings are wearing number 7 and number 9. And so I'm really excited to see how this pans out. I really want to see Isak and Ekitike and Salah, that deadly front three with Wirtz as the number 10 role. You know, and all criticism for Wirtz so far, understandable, validated. I can take that, but I think he's improving. You know, so let's see what happens. But what do you think, you the viewing audience? What do you think of Liverpool's summer transfer window? Who or out of 10, what would you rate our window? So let me know in the comments. Always like, share, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. And of course, Honor Mania is running wild, brother.